Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today I've got a fabulous, absolute trailblazing woman on who is going to be talking all about stepping into your power. So you'll know that I've always been talking about really embracing and embodying who that next level version of you is so that you can actually attract the things that you desire and start owning your authority. Using everything at your disposal, excuse me, including your wardrobe, showing up as the leader that you were absolutely born to be. So today I am joined by the incredible Samantha Harman, aka the Style Editor, who helps women in business make money and claim their space through the power in what they wear. So Sam, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I always love an intro because it
Ah,
just inflates my ego a bit. I'm like, oh my God, that is me.
yeah, it's totally you.
So good.
Could you just give everybody that's listening a bit of a background into your story? Because I know you've always been very career driven and you've got these big goals and ambitions and everything. But tell us a bit about how you got started and your background.
I was a newspaper and magazine editor. I did not come from a background where that was normal. No one in my family or anyone that we knew had worked in corporate environments, let alone in the media. Media is a very male dominated and elitist industry. Let's call a spade a spade. And I became an editor at a time when that was not normal for women to do, especially young women. I think there were about 40 editors that I knew, and one of them was a woman. And so getting into that role was very interesting from a number of perspectives because what you it was like everything was magnified when you're a woman in that role, when you're a young woman in that role, it's different. Like you are held to a completely different standard. And in fact, like I was called a bitch basically before I'd even got the job. We were at a works Christmas function. There was another department, a woman who worked there who I'd never spoken to before, came up to me and she was like, everyone thinks that you're such a bitch for getting that job, but I actually think you're quite nice. And it really made it clear to me the rules are going to be completely different when you're a woman than
Yeah.
you're a man. And of course, that affects what you wear because there is no rule book. No one's talking about this stuff. And so when I first became an editor, I thought, well, what do editors wear? Oh, they wear a black suit. Of course they do, because all of the role models that I had who were editors were men. So it was navigating all of that, building my personal brand. And then as I was doing that, other women in business, weirdly, started asking me to help them do the same sort of thing. Because media at that time as well wasn't just about the publication or the stories. You have to be very commercially savvy and you have to have a personal brand to get lots of different opportunities, not just you getting paid the salary for the role that you do. So I started to help them, loved it. And in COVID, I had this bit of an epiphany where I thought, yeah, I'm going to get my qualifications as a stylist and a coach, and I'm going to do this as a business for women in business.
Amazing.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Glad I got that off my
Breathe
chest.
now. Yeah. Stop talking.
So I'd love to know, like, I know there are a lot of people that can be listening to this that have gone through a similar position where you feel like you need to show up in a way that is seen as either industry standard or industry appropriate or what is seen as acceptable in these different industries and worlds that we're in, the communities and stuff. And I think that a lot of that is from all of the upbringing that we've had into this is black, it's basically very black and white, isn't it? Like this is what's deemed to be a successful person and they're in the suits and they're doing this, that, and the other. And then you've got these women that are coming along wearing these like power suits, embracing color and showing up in their feminine energy and still being absolute leaders. Like, how do you make that transition? Because I think a lot of it is a generational thing, isn't it? Like, I feel like we're kind of the generation now that are really making that change in society. What have you noticed, obviously, from being on both sides of it as a stylist and also being in that very male dominated environment?
Totally. I read this thing recently where it said the reason that things feel so hard for us as a generation is because we are the first ones doing this, because we are navigating all of these new things. I mean, if you think about history, the context of history, women even having access to finance, all these type of jobs is still very, very new. So we're navigating this new space. And also, coupled with that, we have social media and the internet. You are expected to be working in a completely different way than before. Our parents would have gone to work, come home, that's it, right? We are on call, switched on 24/7. So everything has changed. And of course, personal brand has changed, and how much money you get paid for it is not enough anymore to just do the job well. You
Yeah.
have to be thinking about your personal brand. And I think a lot of women, unfortunately, they don't. They do view their employer as somewhere that is very loyal to them. If they're just a good girl in this job, then they'll get the promotion. That's not how it works. You have to be thinking strategically about your career and not just you doing a good job in this job. You have to be managing your personal brand as well as being a manager of your team or your company, whatever it is that you do. So I think that is a big shift in mindset when you're thinking about how to approach your wardrobe for work, because it's not just getting up and putting clothes on in the morning. It's thinking about, is this setting the right tone? Is this making me look and feel like an authority? Is this getting me noticed by the right people? Because you could be working really hard in a company. I've had this with clients where they've wanted to get a promotion and been turned down because the manager's manager has no clue who they are, because they're just not cultivating a personal brand. But at the same time, employers aren't going to help us with this. We need to understand that maybe I'm cynical, but I find that as much as employers say they want to support women at work, say that it's really important, they don't, because what if you get too confident and then you leave? What if
Yeah.
you realize that you're worth more than whatever this job is going to pay you?
Yeah. So true. And I think a lot of it is confidence, isn't it? Like your clothes, what you wear, the things you put on in the morning, it's basically how you're setting yourself up for the day. So if you're putting on clothes that don't make you feel amazing, like you're already setting yourself up with that lower frequency, that lower energy. Like, how are you possibly going to go out there and absolutely smash your day, smash your goals? And like you say, you work with women both as business owners and in corporate as well, don't you? And personal brand, I think it's thrown around everywhere now that you need to be working on your personal brand. And it's very much like if you have a business and you want to be standing out as a service provider, you need to work on your personal brand. But actually, personal brand is for anybody, no matter what you're doing. It's about really embodying who you are and reflecting your own personality, your own vision, your version of success and everything in how you're showing up. And obviously, your clothes are a huge part of that, aren't they?
Massively. There are a couple of different reasons. The first is that studies show that what we wear really does affect how we feel and therefore how we perform. So if you're wearing something that feels amazing, you take different actions than you would if you felt like an old potato. And the other reason is, of course, because the way people see you, because they do see you differently when you are dressed like a leader versus dressed like a follower who can't be bothered. And I think it's very unpopular to talk about what we wear to work. There's this narrative on LinkedIn that I just wear my pajamas and I make £10,000 a day and who cares about what I wear. That is a very privileged position to be in. If you don't have to care about what you wear and you're able to walk into a job or walk into a meeting and still be making money, that means that you have a massive level of privilege that other people do not have. Other people cannot get away with behaving that way because the system is essentially rigged against them.
Yeah.
And the thing is that women's wardrobes have been set up to be places of disempowerment. We've been taught that we aren't allowed to like what we look like. We aren't allowed to like what we wear. We aren't allowed to enjoy clothes. We live in this void, in a triangle of three things, which are the fact that we are judged on what we wear, the fact that we are then told that it's frivolous and silly to care about what we wear, but we actually do enjoy dressing up, and also the fact that we live in a patriarchy. So, of course, our wardrobes are set up against us so that we'll keep spending money to fix problems that we don't have. And that's not, whilst that's been normalized, it's not actually normal. It's not normal to me that you open your wardrobe in the morning and you think, oh my God, I feel terrible. I'm a potato. What am I going to wear today? This is a disaster. That's actually hindering your ability to make money.
Yeah.
Because let's say you just have one say you've got an important meeting and you've got one shirt that you know fits you well and everything else feels like a dumpster fire, and you put it on and you're rushing out the door and you spill coffee down it. That's ruined everything for the rest of the day in the meeting that you're in, because you're in the room but you're actually not in the room because you're thinking about what you look like all of the time. It's
Yeah.
exhausting. It's exhausting, and it's unacknowledged, and we have this conversation about clothes that is so surface level. It grinds my gears. Like, I know that I would like there to be more personal stylists. I would like more women to be able to tap into this work, because men have been using clothes for decades, centuries even, to get ahead in the workplace. But women somehow aren't allowed to do that. So I would love it if we had more personal stylists helping women with this stuff. However, I do find a lot of the conversation is just so surface level, and it's like, here's 5 outfits to wear to
Yeah.
this, here's, what's new in at Zara this week. That's not actually serving anyone, because we're not looking at wardrobe for what it is, which is the physical manifestation of our beliefs. So that's the work, is helping women to shift their identity, their beliefs about themselves, acknowledge the context of the society in which they live, which has rigged their wardrobes against them.
Yeah. And it's about how you feel, isn't it? Like I think when you focus so much on what something looks like, the colors, and make sure you're wearing all of that and everything, yeah, that's amazing, but it's very surface level, like you say. And I think it's really about how something makes you feel and not feeling restricted with what is in your wardrobe. If you feel like you're opening your drawer and you're just like, I don't know what to wear today, or I've got so many amazing clothes, but actually I don't feel good in them, like it's energy, isn't it? It's about that energetic exchange. Making money is an energetic exchange. If you show up with that confidence as an authority, you're going to attract the things that you want, like the promotions and everything in your business. Well, and in obviously corporate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the most important thing. I always say this whenever I give a talk, is not what you're wearing when you come into the room. I don't care if I go and give a talk and I people know that I'm going to be there, and they'll say to me, "My God, I didn't know what to wear. I made such an effort because I knew that you were giving the talk." Blah blah blah. I would tell them politely, "I don't care. I do not care what you're wearing today. I care about what you wore yesterday when you're on your own. I care about what you're going to wear tomorrow when you're working from home all day.
Yeah,
That's what matters the most. If a potential client knocked on your door right now, would you be happy for them to see you like this? Because if the answer is no, there is a disconnect between the image you're putting out there for the world and who you're actually being. And that is a massive problem. And actually, that is felt. Like, conviction is a felt energy. I now am very good at going on, say, LinkedIn as an example, and I'll see these posts that they're all saying, quote unquote, the right things, but the energy behind it is just off.
yeah,
It's just off. And it's because who the person is being is not up to what they're saying that they can do. Like, you have to be completely embodied in the work in order to attract the opportunities and the clients. And that starts with what you put on in the morning. Because when you put on the first thing in the morning, you are telling yourself who you are and what kind of day you're going to have.
yeah,
We always dress for the outside in, because we've been taught that clothing, especially for women, is about performance, is about what everyone else thinks of us, is about external judgment. Actually, bring the focus back to what you think about yourself, and everything changes.
yeah. I love that. And actually, so those of you that are listening to this or watching the video back, it was something that Samantha said. I think it was on a podcast, maybe it was even a LinkedIn post, and it was about how you're buying your clothes. And I remember you talking really clearly about you do not pick up clothes when you're in the middle of doing your food shop. In the supermarket, you've got potatoes and everything in your trolley, and then you put in these clothes because you've just seen something that you like. And actually, since hearing that, I have stopped doing that. And I'm very much about purpose. And I go there with the intention of, okay, this is what I want to get out of this shopping experience. This is the kind of way I want to feel. I'm going fully in on what I'm wearing, not let's just grab that thing while I'm buying the groceries. Like it's just, and it makes total sense when you said that. I'd never ever thought about it before. And I think it's amazing that we've got this fast fashion. Like it's just everywhere, isn't it? Every shop you go in, there's some item of clothing you can just pick up, but then there's not that thought about I actually need to go in for this and this is going to make me feel amazing. And it's like literally sticking it in your trolley with all of your groceries.
Yeah. That post actually got a lot of I'm going to post it again because but I'm bring it on. It actually got a lot of negativity or backlash from women saying to me, you know, you said this and you said that I shouldn't do. And what I'm saying is, as women, we've been taught to be martyrs all the time in every single context. You're a mum, so therefore your kids come first. You're a wife or a partner, so your partner, your wife or your husband comes first. You're a daughter, a sister, an employee, everything else comes first. And generally, women are left to do the supermarket shop, right? There's no other space for them to go out and have a nice day at the shops where they buy their clothes or look at style or anything like that, because they've been taught that that is vain and silly and selfish.
Yeah.
It's a selfish way to spend your time thinking about you. That's vain. You're not allowed to do that. So the only space that they have where they can pick up an item of clothing for that meeting they have or that event they have to go to is on the supermarket shop. So they're there and they've got the kids shouting about one thing. They've got this full shopping list of everyone's demands. They've got emails coming through on their phone from their boss or their clients, and they're in this rush and they're just, oh, just grab this dress that's £15, shove that in. It's literally got the energy of a bag of potatoes or
Yeah.
a tin of beans. That's not good energy, and that is not what you are worth. So the fact that people got very defensive about that post, I feel quite sorry for them, because it shows me that they're in a state of martyrdom because they think that their experience on this earth is supposed to be all about you in relation to everybody else, and you are not supposed to have any enjoyment, and that I'm being selfish by explaining that that doesn't have to be your experience with clothes. You don't have to have that experience with clothes.
Yeah.
And that's not selfish. In fact, it's the opposite of selfish, because fast fashion is such a huge problem. We see clothes as commodity. An
Yeah.
item of clothing can now cost you less than a cup of coffee. Of course, you don't see it as something of value to look after. You might not even wear it ever, chuck it out in a few months' time. Oh, well, someone else's problem. We know that there is a mountain the size of, well, you can see it from space. In the Chilean desert, there's a mountain of our discarded clothes. There are massive piles of our discarded clothes all off the coast of Western Africa. Like this, it doesn't just go away, but just because we don't see the problem, that's a hell of a lot of privilege.
Yeah.
Imagine the privilege of just going, oh, I don't want this anymore, bye, and then thinking it goes somewhere else when we all live on the same planet.
Yeah.
But I'm selfish for saying, hey, take a day for yourself
Yeah.
and really think about your wardrobe and what you actually want to wear, not just hurriedly shoving this stuff into the trolley that isn't actually serving you or the planet or the person who made it.
Yeah. I would love to just talk about the shift that I've noticed myself. So I'm a mum of three. I've got a dog. Like my clothes are always getting like mucky, and I was very much of the I work from home. I've got kids. I'm just going to wear my joggers because I'm not actually seeing a client today. Wear that jumper that I've had for years, and just put that on. And instantly, I was putting everybody else and everything else in front of my own, like not even well-being, but just everything. And as soon as I listened, it was that very post that you shared or the podcast episode, whatever it was, that was talking about not buying clothes when you're doing your food shop and being really intentional with what you're purchasing and how you feel. That I have shifted my wardrobe, and I've not bought a whole new wardrobe. I've just made simple changes. Like I've sold things, were given to charity, things that actually don't make me feel good. And even when I'm having a day in, if I'm not feeling well or I'm walking the dog, I'm wearing a pair of joggers that are a bright colour that make me feel good. And it's simple things. It's not saying that you have to be wearing designer gear. And I think that's a huge misconception that when people work with a personal stylist or look at their personal style, that they need to be spending loads of money on it and they need to be buying all the designer stuff. And it's not about that. It's about really embracing who you are as the next level version of you and showing up in a different way. Like I can still wear a jumper, but I might wear it with some really funky trousers that make me feel amazing. And the actions that I then take in that day are totally different to the ones that I would have made if I was just wearing a pair of like joggers or something with a hole in and socks that don't match and a jump. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of energy. So I think, particularly for those listening, because most people listening to this are entrepreneurs, they're looking to scale. So for those that are looking to scale to the kind of six-figure, multi-six-figure mark, do you think that there is a perhaps a belief around being too much about showing up as or I don't want to wear that kind of thing or wear that to that event because what if it's a bit too much? And what if it brings too much attention that people don't like it? Do you think there's still a bit of that around?
Definitely. I think it actually encapsulates everything, even content. You can see it when you get to a certain level in business and you've had a certain type of client and you are used to working at a certain level and charging a certain amount of money, but you know that this isn't it. You know that you are sure, you're sustaining however much a month that's helping you to live, but this is not what you actually want. So
Yeah.
you know deep down that you have to make some changes, and there'll be uncomfortable changes because it will mean getting rid of this type of client, this type of service, putting your prices up, changing how you're perceived, which is obviously massively to do with your wardrobe. And that can be a very scary conversation to have with yourself because you think, what if people don't like it? What if they don't like me visibly changing or evolving? Actually, the best type of clients, they want that for you. They don't want to work with someone who's stuck in what if energy. They want conviction, they want leadership. Are you being a leader? Because you cannot teach things that you are not fully embodied in. And high level clients, the type of clients you want to work with, they can feel the energy, and they're looking at your pricing. As an example, I actually told one of my clients the other day I wouldn't hire her because we were talking about making this very transition. She's established, but she isn't where she wants to go. And we were talking about her ideal client, and it was someone, well, essentially like my level, right? The type of business that I run, where I'm going. And I said to her, I don't get that. I don't get that from your wardrobe. I don't get it from your messaging. I don't get it from your pricing. Because if I looked at your pricing now, I think that's way too cheap for this level.
Yeah.
So actually, the type of clients that you want to work with, they respond really well to you nailing your colors to the mast and saying, this is not, I don't do this, I don't do that anymore. I mean, I put out a post today about the new rules of engagement in my business. And I think the idea is hopefully to repel some people as much as it attracts others.
Yeah.
So, as much as there is this resistance, especially as women, because we've been taught the most important thing we can be is likable, we have to be affordable, we have to apologize for selling, you're not doing yourself or anyone else any favors by continuing in this playing small energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And for anyone that's listening to this, it's maybe feeling a bit stuck with scaling to that next level, and it could perhaps be their wardrobe. What would you say is the first thing that they can go and do, like today, that they can take action on and start shifting into that next level version of themselves?
First of all, the first thing is to look at what they are wearing when they're on their own and truly asking, does this actually align with what I say that I want? If I say I want to be a multi six figure business owner and I'm still walking around in these old tatty clothes from the high street that don't make me feel good, that's off energy.
Yeah.
So going in your wardrobe and looking at it from that perspective, getting rid of the stuff that is not serving this next level. Because in the psychology of clothing, in clothes cognition, if something symbolizes a particular behavior, action, or identity to you and you wear it, you will change who you are. So you can actually evolve who you are through what you wear. And it may be even small things like you say that you're a serious business owner and you want to be putting out content that shows your authority and you want to feel like an authority. The way that you are creating your content matters. So if you are creating your content and you're sitting there in your slippers and your pajamas, very different energy, very different state to be in than sitting in a pair of amazing shoes, because psychologically you're giving yourself the switch. Like,
Yeah.
we're out of pajama mode, we're out of rest mode, we're in boss mode now. And I use that all the time with clients. It's a very simple but effective change to make, is
Yeah.
simply, honestly, putting on a pair of shoes. You would not believe. It's so simple, but it makes such a big difference.
It really does. People, like you say, people can feel energy, and I've talked about this so many times about energetic alignment on the podcast. And I think it's something that maybe people hear, but they've never maybe experienced. But if you put on something that makes you feel amazing, even if it's one thing like a piece of jewelry or something today, and write a piece of content, I guarantee the words will flow. You will actually come up with things that stand out, that you're actually showing up as a leader instead of, like you say, sitting there in your pajamas and a dressing gown trying to write a piece of content. The energy is totally different, and the result that comes from that will be totally different as well. So, yeah, embracing and really stepping into your power with what you're wearing is a huge shift in your energy. And it honestly, it's like a ripple effect on everything else around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the content actually has a different outcome. If I now I do not post stuff if I don't feel in that energy, but also don't write stuff if I haven't written it in that energy. It's almost
Yeah.
like the energy like flows through your fingers, and there's an extra level of magic infused in it. I know people think it sounds really silly, but energy is everything, and this isn't just woo woo, it's literally science. Albert Einstein was the person who said everything is energy, and Albert Einstein's name is synonymous now with genius. If you call someone Einstein, you're saying all right, genius.
Yeah.
But yet we downplay what energy is, and
Yeah.
the effect of it is huge. I think it's so there's so much that we do not understand, or that is actually very much grounded in scientific research, but we wipe it away as silly and frivolous and a little silly female thing. I mean, we do that with clothes all the time, right?
Yeah.
Silly little female thing to think about. And like I said, men have been using clothes for a very long time to get ahead at work.
Yeah.
And they spend more on their clothes than women because they understand why they don't have the emotional attachment to their clothes in the same way women do, because they aren't sold to in the way that we are, living in a patriarchy, and also because they understand why you buy quality.
Yeah.
They're not martyring in the same way that women are.
100%. I would love to know, not necessarily an in-depth success story, but what kind of transformations have you seen in your own clients from actually doing this work?
One of them actually tagged me in a post today, and it's been incredible to watch her. She went full time in her business at the end of 2023, and she had a new baby at the time as well. And now she is absolutely flying, and she's very much known for the thing. Like, people know who she is.
Yeah.
Another one of my clients, again, came to me just after she's had her third baby, and she was like trying to run a business, and now she's multi six figure business owner. Other clients have gone for or wanted to be promoted or get a new job, and we've helped make that happen. As an example, one of my clients started working with me in August last year, and by October she had the new job, and she's now actually just started another new job because she got promoted again. So it makes a huge difference. It's not just clothes. We're not just looking at your wardrobe as physical items. We're looking at them in terms of mindset and also strategy. Where do you want to go? Is your wardrobe helping you to get there or not?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. And people think, how does your wardrobe make you more money? But this is how, because it's all about their identity. Another client of mine, she was working and she's transitioned, and now she messaged me the other day. I need to share these screenshots on my socials, obviously. She
Get them
messaged me
out
the other day. Yeah, she said that she's now making more money in 3 days a week than she was in 5 days a week.
there.
So
Incredible.
it's life. It's not just clothes. It's not just work benefits. It's actually your life, right? The
Yeah.
freedom that you have, the independence that you have, and ultimately that is the main goal: is women specifically making money independent of any kind of system that tells them who and what they're supposed to be.
Yeah. I love that. And just to touch on it very quickly, I've talked about this in a couple of episodes ago about a lot of people think that they want to make more money and they get so focused on the actual figure that actually, when you think about it, and what you want that money for, it's how you feel. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about energy. It's all about energetic alignment. It's how you're feeling once you've achieved that goal. So if you can start embodying and being that person, having that energy and doing all of these they're simple things as well. It's not like anything that, like totally like different to what you're doing now. It's just thinking about things in a different way and not waiting for that result to happen for you to be able to say, okay, I've made it. I can now feel like this. You can feel like that right now in what you're wearing and how you're showing up, in the energy you're putting out there. So you can actually start attracting things to you. And it's like, you know, when you want a car and you get your in your head like, okay, I want to have that car, and then you just see that car everywhere because the universe is actually going to be showing you signs of all the things that you want. So if you can start focusing on how you want to be feeling and thinking about clothes from that perspective of like, how do I want to feel when I get dressed in the morning? Like, what energy do I actually want to have for this entire day? And start showing up like that, you're gonna attract the opportunities, the clients, the job interviews, like all of this stuff. It literally comes, like you say, Einstein talked about this all the time. It's about energy, it's frequency, it's science, it's actually proven.
Yeah. And that's why it's important not to say things for best either, because all the time you're saving stuff, what you're saying is, I'm not the person who has that thing.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying when you're saving stuff for best. I don't believe that I am worthy of XYZ. Wear it. If you put something on, it feels amazing, and you've gone to the shop and you've tried it on, and you're like, yes, wear it out of the shop if you can. Seriously, because that's the whole point in the scientific research of the benefits of clothing and how it changes our perception of ourselves and our behavior. The wearing of it is the most important bit, because you can have something that symbolizes, that's going to be me when I'm a boss. I've got this really cool suit hanging in my wardrobe, and one day when I'm on the stage, I'm going to wear that. Fine. If you actually wore it today, you'd be a step closer, as weird as it sounds, to actually getting on that stage.
yeah. So
And when you get on the stage and you wear it, you'll just feel like it's another day of being you, rather than feeling like you're putting on an act.
yeah, so true. It's about that embodiment piece, isn't it? I just wanted to touch on something. So you've got a book coming out this year.
Yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
How incredible. Could you just tell us a little sneak peek into what this book is about and what we're actually going to get from it when we get our hands on it?
So much. It's why you have nothing to wear and what to do about it, but not from the perspective of, these are the 5 items that you must have in your wardrobe. It's about unlocking your relationship with your wardrobe in a totally different way, of what your wardrobe actually is, the way that it's been used against you, how all of these rules and centuries of oppression have created the thing that you're standing in front of every morning thinking, oh my God, I feel terrible, I'm hideous, and all the other stuff that you tell yourself, right? Is
Yeah.
all of that. And it's, some of it's actually, it's been quite emotional to write it, because that was obviously my own journey with clothing as well. I mean, I grew up and was told from a very young age that I was quote unquote fat and ugly. Like, those were literally not my words, those were literally the words that were used to me. And so I was plus size into my adulthood, and that really affected how I felt about clothes and how I felt about myself. And, you know, crying in change rooms, being there, turned down for jobs in fashion stores, being there, like all of it, I know it very well. Women's terrible relationships with fashion and clothes. And so I've had to write some of that in to give the context of how I know these things. But it's so much. It's
Yeah.
like, when you get dressed, you're not getting dressed in a silo. When you are standing in front of your wardrobe and you are selecting clothes, you aren't actually alone, as weird as it sounds. All of the people who've ever told you something negative about yourself, all of the societal messages, all of the toxic media that we grew up in the noughties and the 90s, is all there with you when you're making the choice about what to wear in the morning. And it's all there when you're making the choice about how you show up, quote unquote, show up online, or what you charge in your business. Is all related. So yeah, it's why you have nothing to wear and what to do about it. And I don't mean go and buy new clothes.
Oh, when's it coming out?
Hopefully it will be September time. There's been a bit of a I basically I've been working with someone called Vicky Quinn Fraser, who is a book coach, and she came along to a session that I ran. And after the session, she messaged me and said, "You're really good." Yeah, I know. Why? she was like, "Why don't you have a book?" Because obviously I was a journalist and editor as well, so I'm very used to writing. And it was one of those things that I thought, oh, one day, 5 years down the line, then I'll write a book. And she really held a mirror up to the way that I was ironically sabotaging myself, because she was like, that's just a nonsense excuse. Get it done. So what started as a micro book idea has now become an actual book, but I don't want it to just be that I put this thing out and then it's there. If I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that I've put a lot of effort into it. So, as you know, like with a book, there's so much promotion. Writing it is one thing, and then the getting it into people's hands and promoting it is an entirely different story. So, I want to make sure that we've got the time to really get it out there and make as much noise as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's got to go out with a bang, hasn't it? The energetic alignment of that book launch.
Do I do anything else? No. Imagine the outfits at the book launch
Oh my
party.
God. I mean, that takes a whole load of planning in itself. So,
Mm. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's a lot. I think everyone has an idea that they can write a book, because we all do it, right? Oh yeah, I could write a book.
yeah.
It's not easy to. It's actually very hard to write. I don't know. It might be different if you're writing fiction. You can kind of escape into the story. But when you're writing a book like this, you are required to go into some pretty deep places, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's almost like reliving those moments as
Mm.
well, like through
Yeah.
your writing that you think, I don't actually want to go into that, but I kind of need to for the
Yeah.
book. So, yeah.
Yeah, for the context of how it can help people with this
Yeah.
thing. Because also it's a good way of helping introduce people to the concepts. When I do talks on this stuff, I get so many messages afterwards, or people coming up to me and saying, I've literally never thought about my wardrobe in this way before, which is interesting to me, because I'm like, I talk about this every single day. Where have you been? Why aren't you following me on LinkedIn? How dare you?
Outrageous.
Yeah.
How can everyone that's listening to this work with you? How do you actually help your clients?
I have a few different things. So I have obviously private work where I will work with someone over the course of usually 3 months is enough to really build the foundations of what we're doing. And generally, they have some sort of goal. As an example, they want to get promoted, or they are running a business and they want to take it to 6 figures this year, or multi 6 figures, or they're even actually one client that I've had who's it's quite well known because she's fantastic, had a book. And so she wanted to do this in tandem with the book launch process to make sure that she felt really good in that. So usually they have some sort of goal. And then we work together. Either we can do online stuff. I really love being in person with people too. And we'll go through everything like the strategy of their style, their positioning, their energetic blueprint for their wardrobe, their style personality. We'll do a day in their wardrobe where we look at, is this aligned with where we said that we're going? We go and we go to the shops, and generally we're not looking to buy things, we're just looking to increase their vibration, as it were. Because a lot of these women, they work in extremely high powered jobs, they're making decent amounts of money, they will still always default back to M&S, and then pay a lot of money for the people that they love in their lives and not for themselves. So
Yeah.
that exercise on that day is actually more about me helping them to see themselves as a CEO that they are. So we'll go to nice places, we'll have really nice lunch. It's just about elevating them. Then I will go through their wardrobe digitally, create lots of different outfits for them. One of my clients started a new job the other week, and I put together 40 outfits for her. So her
Amazing.
entire first month in her new role is covered. So that's what we do. Then I have a mastermind group, which is where we are working on all of this stuff and essentially a lot of the messaging things. So that largely is, entrepreneurial space, because we're looking at your positioning in terms of how you want to be seen by your audience, making money, how your wardrobe is a massive part of that, all of those things. Yeah, like generally, I also, if I've never worked with someone before, I have a lot of like lower ticket spaces they can come into. They can watch like The Witch in the Wardrobe. That's all about energetic alignment of your wardrobe. And I love that stuff. I think it's incredible. So that is a way of getting that the introduction to what I do. Or power hours. I stopped doing discovery calls, which again is a little bit of a controversial topic. But I stopped doing them because I thought if someone really wants to work with you, they really want to work with you.
Yeah.
This power hour, the investment in it is completely deductible off any further service. And when I'm in a power hour with someone, I'm giving them everything that I can within that space. So if they have an issue with a specific thing, I'm going to give them the strategy. I'm going to give them the high level support. In a quote unquote discovery call, as many small business owners will find, number one, the energy is, you have to be a bit more guarded with the energy, I would say. And also, you don't know how invested the other person is in being in that space. And when you've had a few people ghost you on discovery calls or whatever else, you're just not going to put up with it anymore. It's just
Yeah.
not something that you want in your business. It's not the energy. So I decided that now what I do is power hours. So if I've never worked with someone before, they've never engaged in any of my stuff, let's do that. I can build you an amazing lookbook. I did one yesterday for a client who is obsessed with the 80s, and now I'm obsessed with the lookbook that I've created for her. It's really cool.
Incredible. I love that.
So good. Because she, again, is doing that switch between she's running this business and that's all fine, but now she wants to transition to the next level. How does she do that whilst also keeping the very vintage themes that she loves?
Yeah. And I love
There,
that. Like really quickly. So I feel like there's obviously all these fashion trends that come in and out. Like you talked about fast fashion and everything. How do you feel about trends? Because I feel like from everything you've talked about, it's about really embodying your next level version of you and what feels good to you, things that you like, rather than, well, this isn't actually in fashion, this style, like this is what you should be wearing at this time of the year and that kind of thing. So how does that work in terms of like trends?
there is a balance because there are studies that show that if you look up to date, it's assumed that you have an up to date skill set. So if you're walking around in stuff that is very much 2016, it's actually doing damage to your reputation and your credibility. So it is important to make sure that the styles that you are wearing are up to date rather than people having the idea that you are like stuck in the past. I
Yeah.
like it to a website. If you went on a website from 2016 and a website from today, you've really noticed a difference in
Yeah.
the vibrancy, the way that it's structured, what it says. All of that would be different. It's the same with your wardrobe. There are classic pieces. For example, jeans. They are a classic item in your wardrobe, but just because they're classic doesn't mean that what is up to date doesn't change from time to time. So it, I would say that it's a business decision almost to keep a top line view of what is happening this year. As an example, because this is the way fashion works, kind of 20 years out, we will start to see things coming through that were popular in 2006. Sorry, everyone. Like 2006 to about 2010, that's going to be the theme really of what we see in terms of fashion. So stuff that was in then is coming back now. So having an eye on that stuff, I do think is good for your business because you always want to look like the innovator. You don't want to look like
Yeah.
someone who's stuck in the past. You want your clients to see you as a leader. But a leader's not just staying in there. This is the way it's always been done. We have to innovate. We have to elevate and innovate. So I do think that there is a fine line. It's being not being a like just a clothes horse and constantly changing with the trends, but incorporating one or two things that help you to look fresh. And also making sure you hit the trend before it becomes a trend.
Yeah.
So, as an example, animal print, we know that leopard print obviously is a staple, but it had a big resurgence last year, which was rude in my opinion because I love leopard print. I always have. Since people were telling me that it's not cool, I've been wearing it. Now suddenly everyone's wearing it. But animal prints in general, so cow print, zebra print, snake print, we'll be seeing a lot more of those come in. So now we're before the peak. And when we reach about summertime, we'll be at peak saturation. So if you can start to incorporate a bit of that now, you will look ahead of the trend,
I mean, who
which is
doesn't
what.
love a bit of leopard print? So,
Right, right. But now we're on to like cow print or zebra print.
okay.
Awesome. It's the year of the snake, so you know.
I got a zebra print skirt the other day, actually, so I'm very happy
There we
about
go. She's ahead. She's ahead. She's ahead of the
that.
game.
Trendsetter. Oh, thank you so much, Samantha, for coming on today. Make sure that you check out the show notes below. You can get all the links to go and follow Samantha, book in a power hour, and yeah, keep a lookout for that book that is going to be coming out. I cannot wait for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.